What is going on, guys? We have Thursday night football tonight between the Commanders and the Packers. Should be a really good game, unlike some of these other primetime games that we'll get throughout the year. Thursday night football is usually a mess, but I think this one's going to be pretty good. Early in the season, not many injury concerns. A lot of players are fairly well rested going into the year. So this is hopefully going to be a good one. The spread is pretty close. It's 3.5 points, and Vegas is expecting a pretty close matchup. So I'm looking forward to this one. In this video, I'll be going through some of my top player props for the game tonight. There's two of them that I've already placed bets on that we're going to talk about. And then I'm going to peruse Outlier, head over to their Insights tab, and we're going to take a look at some of the suggested plays that Outlier has based on their insights. As always, before I get into the plays, though, remember to subscribe to the channel and drop a comment of what your touchdown picks are for tonight as well. I do a community parlay every day in the Discord, so if you're not in the Discord yet, be sure to join it. But if you aren't in there, just leave a comment of your touchdown pick, and I'll be sure to include it in the community parlay. I'll just post that play in Discord, and if we do end up cashing and I need to send you the money, the Discord is definitely the easiest place for me to do that. So join Discord. It's free to join. It's a great place to be. All right, let's jump right into the plays here. First play I want to talk about is Zach Ertz over 3.5 receptions. So the Packers gave up 6 receptions to Samuel Portal last week, and they are the weakest in the middle of the field. That's the way you can beat them. Amon-Ra St. Brown struggled in the slot. Jameson Williams struggled on the outside, but Samuel Porta had a decent game covering the middle of the field as a tight end. So Zach Ertz last week, he had 3 catches on 6 targets against the Giants, or 5 targets against the Giants. So I'm expecting 5 or more targets for Zach Ertz today, especially with the way the Packers funneled the ball to the middle of the field. If I look back to last season and look at only games where Zach Ertz had 5 or more targets, it's going to be tough to see because I can't really filter it. So I'm just kind of show you from the bottom here. So 5 targets here, 5 catches. 8 targets, he only had 2 catches in this game, but 5 targets, 4, 5 targets, 4 catches, 11 targets, 7 catches. All in all, in the last 2 seasons, there has been 14 games where Zach Ertz has had 5 or more targets. In these games, in his 14 games, he has had 4 or more catches 10 times. So it's a 10 out of 14 hit rate for this specific prop. Some people are talking about his yards prop, which could be a good look as well. But I thought the number was just a little bit too high, 32.5. I would have liked to see this, back down at maybe like 29.5 or maybe even 27.5 for me to bet it. But there's really nothing wrong with taking this over 32.5 as well. I'm not sure if you can find a better line anywhere else. Maybe over 30.5 on Hard Rock at -135 is a decent play. But Zach Ertz is one of my favorite targets for today, mainly for the receptions, but you could go with the receiving yards if you wanted to go with both. So the second play I want to touch on here is Jordan Love under 0.5 interceptions. So the Commanders last season, they averaged 0.4 interceptions per game, which would put them 26th in the league. That equates to only 7 interceptions the entire season last year. They did not have an interception last week against the Giants either, and Russell Wilson. If I scroll down to the bottom here, interceptions versus Washington, Russell Wilson had 0 last week. So they couldn't pick off Russ even in a very easy win. Jordan Love last season, he started off really bad. His first 8 games, he threw an interception every single game. But in his last 8 games or 9 games to end the season, 8 games to end the season, he only threw an interception in 1 game. And then last week in week 1, he did not throw an interception against Detroit, albeit the game script didn't really lead him to throwing much. He only had 22 passing attempts, which is a little bit below his average of 28 or 29 passing attempts per game last year. I'm expecting him to get up probably over, 27, 28 passing attempts again. But this is a really good spot for Jordan Love not to throw an interception again against a weak Commanders secondary. So before I head over to the Insights tab and we take a look at what Outlier is recommending based on some recent trends, I want to show you guys my slip over on Underdog Fantasy. These 2 plays that I just talked about, Zach Ertz over 0.5, 3.5 receptions, and Jordan Love under 0.5 interceptions thrown. This wins 3 times my entry fee if I get both of them correct. This is on Underdog Fantasy, and if you do not have an account with Underdog yet, sign up using the code LayTheHouseRM, and they'll give you a deposit deposit bonus match when you initially sign up. And I think they're running a promotion right now where if you bet $5, they'll add an additional $50 into your account too. So a lot of free money on these promotions. Definitely take advantage of this one on Underdog Fantasy. All right, now let's turn over to the Insights tab and see what Outlier recommends. So what I do here, I just peruse this, see if there's anything I can find that I will like. So I'll filter for the games for tonight. I want to focus on player trends. And then I am going to filter by the splits, because home and away splits are things that I like. Football, as we get later on in the year, you could start filtering based on like top ranked defenses, bottom ranked defenses, and matchups and things like that. But since we're so early in the season, I really just focus on home and away splits because that's how players tend to play early on in the year. And this is something huge for basketball too that I like to do. Then we're going to sort by hit rate. We're just going to take a look at these. I don't know if there's any of these that we want to actually bet, but I figure I'd show you an ad hoc version of my process of what I do when I'm looking through these. So obviously on the top here, we have this Jordan Love failed to exceed 6.5 rushing yards in 7 straight games at home. Interesting prop. When I click into it, it shows, last 7 games at home. If I look at full last season, though, I mean, there were 8 games at home. He went under this number in 7 out of 8 games. But last year, Washington allowed 20 rushing yards per game, around the middle of the league against quarterbacks. Just not really a situation that I have enough clarity on. I'm not really sure how this Washington rush defense is going to be. Considering last week, Russell Wilson ran for 44 yards against them, that is a promising sign for this Jordan Love over 6.5 rushing yards. So I'm just on the fence if I'd want to even bet that under 6.5 rushing yards. I'd probably skip it. So I'm just, I just go through the list here and I try to find some other ones, typically ones with larger samples. I don't know if we're even going to find one here as I'm going through. Maybe this Austin Eckler one looks pretty good. Austin Eckler has exceeded 11.5 longest reception in 7 out of his last 8 games on the road. Interesting prop, especially with the way that Green Bay gives up receiving yards to running backs. Last week, I think Scatterboo had a decent, or not Scatterboo, Gibbs and Montgomery, they struggled last week to get the receiving yards, but this Austin Eckler prop, because he is the only one who's going to get the targets, is tempting to me. He had 15 yards on a reception last week. Last year, 10 out of 15 games. Looking at the away games last year, it was 8 out of 9 games. This could be a prop that you can place if you really are interested in it. And then maybe we'll just see if we can find, I don't know, one other play really quick for you all. Not sure if I'll be able to get one here in the next minute. Jaden Daniel rushing yards failed to exceed 49.5 rushing yards in 8 out of his last 10 games on the road. That could be pretty interesting because the Packers last year only gave up 15.8 rushing yards per game to quarterbacks, which would rank them 9th in the league. So this is definitely an interesting prop. Last week, Jared Goff only, -1 yards, but he's not really going to run much. So take that with a grain of salt. Last week, Jaden Daniels ran for 68 yards, but the Giants really rough job at containing him every single time. Last year on away games, he went under 8 out of 11 times. Pretty close to the times, though. Not fully sure if I love that or not, but I think this could be a solid prop. So if you wanted to add 2 more players to your portfolio tonight, this Jaden Daniels under 49.5 rushing yards and that Austin Eckler over 11.5 yards on the longest catch, I think it was. Where was it here? Yeah. Over 11.5 on his longest reception. Those are 2 solid plays that you could place, but I'll probably do a live stream later on today, maybe on TikTok, but be sure to be in the Discord server. Drop a comment of your touchdown picks or do it in the Discord server. And last but not least, best of luck on your best tonight, everybody.